is up, guys? Welcome to the video. Today's video is an educational deep dive on the 4 pillars that I think should be in any exercise regimen that is geared towards being a healthier version of yourself, to expanding your longevity and all the rest of it. But before we dive right in, make sure to hit the video with a like and subscribe if you're not already. And without further ado, we'll get into the 4 pillars of exercise for health and longevity. All right, guys, let's dive into talking about how you can exercise for your health. So a lot of stuff in the fitness industry, as you probably know, is all geared towards like body composition and essentially just like aesthetics. And by that, I mean like how much fat you have on your body, how much muscle you have on your body, and all the rest of it. And that stuff absolutely ties into your health. But there are other ways that you can think about exercise and think about your training that aren't through the lens of the way your body looks. Now, obviously, if you follow me for any amount of time, you know that I'm a huge advocate for exercising for your health. Like in the video I made a couple weeks ago, it doesn't matter like why you get into it, but making sure that eventually you get to a point where you're exercising with your health in the forefront of things is super important. And so in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 4 pillars of exercise that you should have in your regimen of some kind with health as your focus. And that first pillar is doing some sort of stability training. So pillar number 1, stability. Now, if you're young and agile and quick on your feet, you're probably not that focused on stability right now, unless you're like an athlete of some kind. But stability is one of the first things that can go as you get older. I've had the privilege of working with a lot of 60 and up year old clients, and the number one thing that they all have in common is that they want to feel more stable on their feet. And like I said, if you're young, you're probably not really thinking about like, oh, if I trip, like I can just catch myself, or if I lose balance, I can just get balanced again. But as you get older, that gets harder and harder. And if you don't use it and train it, you'll lose it. The healthiest, most active clientele that I see in that 60 plus crowd are the folks that are stable and able to move with stability. So incorporating stability training of some kind into your exercise is massively important, even if it may not seem like it right now, because it doesn't directly serve the goal of you getting a bigger butt or bigger arms or something like that. So how exactly can you implement this type of training into your life? Well, it doesn't require like a whole new training program, and odds are if you're on a well-designed strength training program or just exercise program in general, you probably are doing some type of stability work now. But a good way to think about stability work is doing exercises where you're naturally imbalanced. For example, doing unilateral work, and by unilateral I mean using one side of your body, especially with your legs. Exercises like a single leg RDL, a single leg standing overhead press, anything that makes you balance and forces you to be stable through a range of motion safely and be able to load weight in that range of motion can be a great way to train your stability. One of my favorite exercises for hip and leg stability is a single leg Romanian deadlift. And an upper body favorite stability exercise of mine is something like an upside down press or a bottoms up press. Those are just 2 examples of many exercises you can do to help train stability in your regimen. Now, the second pillar that I want to talk about is strength training. Now, odds are if you're following me, you're doing some kind of strength training or you're familiar with strength training, but not everybody is. A lot of people just like to do cardio, or they just like to do their HIIT class or their boxing class or something like that, and they completely neglect strength training. And this is especially true for the female population. Strength training is incredibly important, not just for aesthetics, not just for changing your body composition and looking a certain way. As little as 2 times a week can be incredibly beneficial for your health. Increasing and or maintaining your lean muscle tissue as you get older is one of the biggest indicators of longevity in populations. Having healthy, strong muscles is good for you. Bottom line, it also increases your bone density, which as you get older, bone density decreases, muscle mass decreases. But if you're training these things regularly and build that up when you can, it will be less of an issue as you get older. It's worth noting from a health standpoint that a lot of old folks end up needing assisted living as they get older because they lack the ability to stand up from a squat position on a toilet by themselves. Now that may seem really far down the line, but we're talking about health, we're talking about longevity, so we're looking at a broad, big picture health point of view. All right, now on to the third pillar, and that third pillar is anaerobic activity. Real quick, if you don't know what anaerobic activity is, it is essentially exercise that does not use oxygen as the primary source of fuel. Instead, it uses glycogen. Some examples of anaerobic training are weightlifting, sprinting, high intensity interval stuff. Think short burst, intense activity. That is anaerobic activity. It's great if you can go out and jog for 30 minutes and feel fine, but if you can't do any short burst of activity, if you have to like sprint to get something, if you have to run up the stairs for something, or any other short burst activity that will happen at some point in your life, making sure that you are well trained in that aspect. I'm not talking about from like an elite athlete level, but being well trained in anaerobic activity to increase the lactic threshold in your muscles is incredibly important as you get older. Now, if you're already doing strength training, you probably have a solid anaerobic base right now, but if you want to incorporate that a little bit further into your training, doing sprint work is fantastic. I love doing sprints on like a track, or if you got like a nice grassy hill nearby. Doing hill sprints is a fantastic way to increase your anaerobic endurance. Make sure that in some capacity you have some anaerobic activity in your life. Now, the fourth pillar, and it's one I think we've all heard of, is aerobic activity. Think cardiovascular health. Now, different from anaerobic activity, aerobic activity is exercise that uses oxygen as the primary source of fuel for your muscles. Where anaerobic is short, intense bursts of exercise, aerobic exercise is that longer duration stuff. Think walking for a long distance, jogging, going for a long run, things that increase your cardiovascular health. Now, cardio gets a bad rap in the fitness industry right now, and I think a lot of that is coming from a place of you see folks going on long runs and all the rest of it to try and lose body fat, when realistically, the best way to do that is taking control of your nutrition, not through exercise. But that doesn't mean that cardio isn't massively important for your health. Increasing your aerobic endurance and your aerobic capacity is so important for longevity and health. Think heart disease, stroke, blood pressure. All the leading causes of death can have their risk lowered significantly by being in good aerobic shape. Having a healthy heart and lungs just makes you a healthier person. And if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you, but you need to be doing some aerobic exercise. Get your 10,000 steps in if that's easy. Park your car further away and go for a walk. Ride your bike instead of taking the subway, or just become a runner. Do something that gets aerobic activity into your life. It will make you a healthier person and you will be better for it. So to recap, the 4 pillars of exercise for your health, for longevity that I would have you put into your life in some way, shape, or form is stability training, strength training, anaerobic training, and aerobic training. And these are all things that don't have to take over your life. You don't have to completely restructure your life, but these are little things that you can add in over time in small doses to make you the healthiest version of yourself, so that you can live longer, so that you can live a more enjoyable, healthier life, and just overall improve your quality of life. And with that, I'm gonna leave the video here. I hope you found this to be some actionable advice, things that you can easily implement into your life in some way, shape, or form going forward. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you haven't already. And if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And to that note, I want to take a minute to just say thank you to everybody who is subscribed already. We passed over the 200 subscriber mark this past week, and it's crazy to me that that has happened in the short time that I've been doing this. And I seriously appreciate you guys so much. And I'm really looking forward to doing more and more stuff with this channel. So make sure if you're not already, you're subscribed so you see all the fun stuff that I have in mind coming down the pipeline. And with that, I appreciate you, and I will catch you in the next one.